folks? This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I want to apologize to my friends on Rumble. Trying to get everything together and running a little late, but I want to say hi to everybody on YouTube and Rumble as I'm broadcasting simultaneously. And I'm going to play a couple of videos, put everybody in the mood. What's the end game? What is going to be the result of this upheaval, this restoration of the American experience? We shall see very soon, I expect, and we'll go over a lot of stuff tonight. So let me play these videos for you, settle in, and we'll have a good conversation.
But beyond that, they appear to be targeting all the FBI agents who were involved in any of the cases brought against January 6th rioters. And to put this in perspective, the January 6th riot cases make up the largest single investigation ever in the history of the Bureau. The January 6th cases are the largest criminal caseload ever assembled by the Department of Justice. If they are going to try to purge every FBI agent who took any part in any one of these well over 1,000 cases, that's kind of the whole FBI. I mean, not every single member of the FBI, but certainly most of the FBI.
This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. Now, it doesn't require expropriation or confiscation of private property or business to impose socialism on a people. What does it mean whether you hold the deed to or the title to your business or property if the government holds the power of life and death over that business or property? And such machinery already exists. The government can find some charge to bring against any concern it chooses to prosecute. Every businessman has his own tale of harassment. Somewhere a perversion has taken place. Our natural unalienable rights are now considered to be a dispensation of government. And freedom has never been so fragile, so close to slipping from our grasp as it is at this moment. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. Not too long ago, two friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Man's old age dream, the ultimate in individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism. And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. In this vote harvesting time, they use terms like the Great Society, or as we were told a few days ago by the President, we must accept a greater government activity in the affairs of the people. But they've been a little more explicit in the past, and among themselves, and all of the things I now will quote have appeared in print. These are not Republican accusations. For example, they have voices that say, the Cold War will end through our acceptance of a not undemocratic socialism. Another voice says the profit motive has become outmoded. It must be replaced by the incentives of the welfare state. Or our traditional system of individual freedom is incapable of solving the complex problems of the 20th century. Senator Fulbright has said at Stanford University that the Constitution is outmoded. He referred to the President as our moral teacher and our leader. And he says he is hobbled in his task by the restrictions of power imposed on him by this antiquated document. He must be freed so that he can do for us what he knows is best. And Senator Clark of Pennsylvania, another articulate spokesman, defines liberalism as meeting the material needs of the masses through the full power of centralized government. Well, I, for one, resent it when a representative of the people refers to you and me, the free men and women of this country, as the masses. This is a term we haven't applied to ourselves in America. But beyond that, the full power of centralized government, this was the very thing the Founding Fathers sought to minimize. They knew that governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose. They also knew, those Founding Fathers, that outside of its legitimate functions, government does nothing as well or as economically as the private sector of the economy.
So closely associated with the city of New York. You, of all people, understand the passion surrounding 9/11. What do you say to those family members who protested earlier this week and will be doing so again on Friday?
Well, nobody's gotten to the bottom of 9/11, unfortunately, and they should have, as to the maniacs that did that horrible thing to our city, to our country, to the world. So nobody's really been there.
What Mr. Trump did yesterday was to betray the women and men of the FBI, the CIA, NSA, and others, and to betray the American public. And that's why I use the term that this was nothing short of treasonous, because it is a betrayal of the nation. He is giving aid and comfort to the enemy, and it needs to stop.
I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Hi, folks. I believe that was to fulfill the requirements to invoke the Insurrection Act. And I'm sure you know the meanings of the videos that I played. It's just a little snapshot of the road we've all been walking down for many, many years. Hi, KNS Cleanup. Sherry, how you doing? Let's see, who else is here? Oh, my chats are flying around. Andrew, Robin, Sissy's here, Melinda, Kicking Bird. KNS Cleanup said they're getting interesting. Yes, Gary said, ha, ha, ha. So give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to do that. Television Shows is here. And subscribe. Yeah, television shows have to subscribe. David, how you doing? So nice to see all y'all. Flannel Cheese, Angela. Yeah, they weren't ready back then. I thought that speech was probably given in the late 60s, maybe early 70s, but that was way before Reagan became president. Yvonne, how you doing? Nice to see you. So, Jess and Bean, nice to see you. Hi, Stanton. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it very much. So, wow, we are finding out so much stuff. It seems like Elon and the Doge crowd, for the intents and purposes of the general public, they've hit the mother lode, okay? But we've known about this stuff. We are the already informed. We have been awake for a long time. But what Elon Musk is putting out, of course, at the direction of Mr. T, is gross waste, fraud, and abuse. And Mr. Trump has been moving with alacrity. You can look that word up. That means get up and go, ready to move, and crackerjack movement, and it's going to keep on coming. They can't keep up with it. Hi, Justice for All. How you doing? So this group here, we're going to hear more about it, along with a lot of other captured, corrupted, subversive entities that are being funded by our own sweat of our brow. And I think it's coming more and more clear to me what is going to happen to help unify the nation. Okay? We want to bind the nation's wounds. We want to wake people up. They don't even know what Reagan was talking about back then. And back then, we didn't have situations where, like Karen Bass Ackford in California could have the power, at least on paper, and the audacity to force the people of California to suffer from such malfeasance that an entire city burns to the ground, and then say, we're going to build it back the way we want to. Okay? Remember I talked about how the planning commissions, local planning commissions have been taken over, how they indoctrinate people before they go on planning commissions. Your local treasurer, okay, that gets put in or campaign is supported by nefarious entities if they have Marxist leanings. All right, remember I talked about that. And I'll be showing you videos that just verifies exactly what I've been saying. And Mr. T brings it up over and over himself. Since 1913, when they passed the 16th Amendment, it changed our way of life. It changed the relationship between the citizen and the government in direct conflict with the spirit of the document called the U.S. Constitution. It's in direct conflict with the spirit of that document. And it made a slave of every American. And people want to talk about restitution, or what do they call it? Reparations. Reparations. Think about it. That's going to be the end game. And I will explain what I mean about that. And that will bring unity. As Mr. T said, success brings unity. And our success is going to be one part tariffs, one part stemming the flow of fraud, waste, and abuse that has been costing us trillions of dollars, that has stole your parents' and your grandparents' legacy of what they were to leave to you, what's kept you on a hamster wheel for the majority of your working life, while people who kowtow or agree with their Marxist vision get the rewards. Okay? These people, that the 96% of federal workers that don't even go into work, are they on a hamster wheel? No. No, they're not on a hamster wheel. Do they have worries about what their retirement's going to be? Whether or not they're going to their check is going to be enough to get through the next month? No, well, they weren't worried till now. They weren't worried till now. Raven's Wings, how you doing? Cheryl, how you doing? Yeah, Reagan was governor of California. Let's see. Humpty Dumpty, that's right. Well, reparations is going to be defined. When Elon Musk is supposed to go up on X tonight at midnight, I don't know why he's waiting so late, but I'm sure they're going through this. The U.S. Treasury, the head of the Treasury stepped down. Okay, resigned. All the government web pages, all their DMs, all their private emails they thought were private, they're all locked out of every damn one of them. And you can bet it's being gone over. We're not going to, well, I even think we're going to be shocked at the extent of the theft. The silent thieves, like Trump said, I caught them all. USAID is a big cog in the machine, but it's one cog out of many. USAID was involved in funding the anti-Trump prosecutors like Alvin Bragg. We're talking millions of dollars of these Sorosio handpicked prosecutors. They were involved in paying off media to put out a narrative, a mockingbird narrative. They were involved in censoring people who didn't play along with the mockingbird media. They supplied money to entities that worked with the BIO labs, okay? How much influence did they have over PBS and National Public Radio? They're being investigated, along with Chuck Schumer. He got a letter. We'll go over that today, too. Hi, Mike. In the past 20 years, well, it's more than that. Hi, Lone Wolf. How you doing? Melinda. Well, I tell you what. If I ever find a recording, I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking for it because many of you probably heard about it. But it started in earnest, okay, after the assassination of JFK. Lyndon Johnson is on tape saying we don't need much, a couple of $100 a month. He was talking about the advent of the modern welfare system. And he used the N-word. It's in the White House recording. Many of you may have heard it. If I ever come across it, I'll record it and play it. He said, we give them a couple of $100 a month. Those N-words will be voting for us for the next 100 years. I think he said that about 60 years ago. They instituted a system that destroyed our manufacturing, decimated inner cities, evicted fathers, estranged them from their families, impoverished millions, all for a little withered, dried up carrot at the end of a stick. You've heard of that, carrot and a stick. Then they're dependent. Not just that, people in Appalachia, poor white folks, all across the country, people become dependent. Learned helplessness. Jobs being outsourced. Our tariffs eliminated and replaced with our labor and work. We were paying other nations to come into our country, do business, use our resources, natural resources and human resources, for free, plus we ended up paying them. Not anymore. Not anymore. Here's Justin Trudeau, his response to this tariff situation. I think that, what's that term, FAFO? I don't know what that means, but it's going to happen to him probably.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives. Ce soir, j'annonce la réplique du Canada.
Blah, 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 whatever. Yeah, who do you think is going to win this little battle between these two? Okay. Who would you put your money on? Who's going to come out on top in this situation? Greg Abbott. Governor Abbott put out a, if I can pretty much paraphrase it. Here we go. If I couldn't find it, but I can find it. Careful, Trudeau. The Texas economy is larger than Canada's, and we're not afraid to use it. Have you seen what's going on in the streets? In a lot of little Los Angeles, they blocked off a street. I got some videos of that. But in all these little podunk towns, you've got people gathering together with flags from Mexico and Venezuela. Who's paying for that? Well, the money's locked up right now. I hope they got some saved up if they want to keep up their protests. Here's something Clandestine put out concerning this big revelations, what's going on. I'm doing my best to remain grounded and not too excited. But Trump is going after the USAID, confirms that he found the epicenter of the deep state's offshore money laundering and racketeering schemes. This will lead him to the deep state bionetwork and the creation of C-19. Look who you got there. This clown was fired. Here he is. South Fulton, Tennessee. Is Tennessee in the chat? I haven't seen him in a while. Mayor Khalid Kamau, who charged $26,000 to city credit card during a trip to Africa, says he's distressed and disappointed because the city council is auditing his spending during Black History Month. Oh, isn't that awful? Well, the city council, let me show you what their response is to him. Let's see, here he is. Tell everybody how distressed you are. And you probably got people rioting in your streets protesting that have no business here, and you're authorizing money to go get thrown at them that doesn't belong to you.
I am so distressed and disappointed that the blackest city in the United States of America is heading into Black History Month with its all-black council tearing each other down.
We're not tearing you down. You took your black behind over to Africa for 20 days and didn't tell anybody.
Well, they say the mayor has yet to justify the expenses that are now being audited.
Yeah. So Lyndon Johnson, people are seeing through your garbage. Lyndon Baines Johnson. People are being unified by their color or not. You can't divide us anymore. Here you go. Trump posted this. After forcing Colombia to back down, White House claims America. This is CNN. White House claims America is respected again. Trump jumped at a chance to show how tough he can be and demonstrate to Latin America the price of resistance. Marco Rubio went down to Panama. And what was the result? The president of Panama said he would not renew the Silk Road Agreement with China. Here's a training video. Of air traffic controllers. I don't know if you've seen this yet or not.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
Yeah, it's sad but true. Here's Trump, what he had to say about Panama. And I'm not so sure this business of not renewing the Silk Road contract is going to be enough if you listen to what Mr. T has to say.
They violated the agreement. They're not allowed to violate the agreement. China's running the Panama Canal. That was not given to China. That was given to Panama foolishly. But they violated the agreement, and we're going to take it back, or something very powerful is going to happen.
Something very powerful is going to happen. Here's a little cartoon. Hey, you, why you always wear that mask? Foreign aid, you flip it up, it says money laundering. Let's keep this on. Not anymore. The mask is being pulled off. Here's something else Trump posted. This is right now. Optimistic about the next 4 years with Trump as president. Showing success. All right? Demonstrating competence and leadership inspires confidence. Almost 70% in the 18 to 29. The people entering the workforce. 62% 30 to 44. 60% 45 to 65. Only the retirement age and up does it get close to 50%. A psychoanalysis of this set of numbers is that these people that are age 65 and over, they're looking backwards. They played the game. They're looking at their retirement. But the people that are entering the workforce and have their whole lives in front of them, they're being motivated. The morale of the workers, the morale of the citizens is being uplifted. The H-1 whatever visas, part of why we need to continue that is because we have a demoralized and untrained workforce, or they have been trained in ways of thinking that are unproductive, unhealthy, and psychologically off base. What is going to, what I'm alluding to is the end game. Imagine Imagine. We get into this business farther and farther and farther of what's being stolen. How much money's being spent that does not need to be spent. Trump has referred to his power of impoundment. He can impound money that's being spent incorrectly, goes to waste, fraud, and abuse, not as it was intended. This goes with that picture I just had up. This is from ABC News. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has directed agency officials to review and remove content related to climate change, another hoax that's cost us billions, from its public websites. Trump said that the climate Paris Accords was going to cost us $1 trillion, and we've already spent billions on it. The directive instructs web managers to identify archives or unpublished materials mentioning climate change by no later than the close of business Friday. The directive follows President Trump's executive orders reversing climate change policies, which include withdrawing from a Paris climate agreement, expanding fossil fuel is not a thing. That's not where gas comes from, and oil does not come from fossils. But anyway, we'll take care of that lie down the road. Weakening environmental protections, BS, and revoking EV incentives. Yeah, we're going to get rid of all that crap. My point is, imagine. I don't know when, how long, how many months, but soon. Trump is going to say, how about the American people get a rebate? Or maybe you could call it a stimulus check. But I think rebate's better. A rebate for what? How about fraud? Look at all this fraud we've uncovered. Look at all this money we've frozen in the Treasury Department. And where it was going was a fraudulent situation. What are we going to do with it? Give it back to the people? Remember, I was talking about each $1 trillion that they put in these stimulus packages equaled about $2,400 for everybody that got a stimulus check. They call it stimmy check for short. People get a dose of that. And he goes, I'm thinking too. I'm thinking about a waste rebate. We identified money that's being fraudulently spent, and we giving you $2,400 or $1,200, $1,800, whatever it comes to, $30, $200, I don't know. And the American people, it's their money. Even if they didn't, the money they have in their pocket shrinks every time they print a phony dollar. We've been running on a printing press, weakening the dollars you've already earned that they've already taxed you for, and that keep taxing on you again and again for the interest you earn on it, for when you go to buy something, what you have in your driveway every year, property taxes. They weaken it. Well, you got your fraud check, or everybody's happy about that. Wait a minute, we just found just money that was wasted. So we give a waste rebate. I don't know what you could name it. Foreign aid reimbursement. Look at all these countries we're giving foreign aid to. And it turned out that the people weren't receiving it, that it was just being put in a slush fund, that it was just being spent by crooked politicians and military juntas for mansions and Rolls Royces. So this month you guys get a foreign aid rebate for all the money you've been dumping into foreign aid. Oh, also, no tax on tips, no tax on, you know what? How about no tax at all? We're doing so good with these tariffs. We have plenty of money to run the federal government. So we're going to be sending, for all this money we've recovered. Remember, you have to give the diamonds back. You have to give the diamonds back. So we're going to sprinkle the diamonds out to the American people. Because it's their diamonds. Oh, gosh, don't you remember? Look, the prices have gone down back to where they used to be. But, you know, you've already spent the money for the last 4 years, going on 5 years, with this artificial inflation of 23, 24, 28%. Here's the inflation rebate. I saw Nasara in there. Wait a minute. Is that how they're going to package Nasara? Or is that coming after they return our diamonds? What do you think the approval rating would be? Hi, Pappy, how you doing? Theodosius, how you doing? Yeah, rebate AK and Arsara. Hi, Colette. Hebrew, how you doing? Taxpayer rebate. Well, you don't want to put it. I say these things are going to take time to uncover, verify. Yeah, and then we're going to go on gold. We're going to go on precious metals. I saw this posted. Is this true? Adam Schiff visited Epstein Island 78 times. Is this true? I heard that picture of him in a dress was supposedly real. But I also heard when he was at Standard Hotel, he liked to dress like a pharaoh. You know, with the makeup around the eyes and the sepulcher and all that crap. Fancied himself a pharaoh, but it wouldn't surprise me if he got him dressed up. And what's his name? Comey, like dressing like Howdy Doody for some reason. Real flippin' weirdo. But I'm telling you that I think what he's preparing us for, because we have a solid, I would say, close to 40% of the population that does not realize the spirit of what Ronald Reagan was talking about. They don't realize the spirit of working and living your life without a gun to your head. And for 111 years or 12 years, people have been subject to abuse, waste, fraud, and abuse with their own money. They eat your lunch and pop the bag in your face. So you don't think the forces of evil will allow it? Well, maybe that's why Devin Nunes posted this. He posted this today. He said, any idea what this is? And then Bug-Eye, what is this? He didn't know explanation of where it was, but it's in some government building. Did you see the Democrats at their national committee? A bunch of heretics and hedonists. And they ended up electing two white guys as a chairman and a co-chair. But I didn't get a lot of clips from that. Let me show you how it started off. Tell me how many people paying attention to this would proudly say they're a member of the Democrat Party.
And we'll begin with the opening statements. Each candidate will have 30 seconds, and we'll start with Dr. Quintessa Hathaway.
Good evening, everyone. It is my desire to be the next DNC chair, and I just want to give you all a little bit of something that's been on my heart here over the last couple of days. You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, you fight on. When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on, oh, you fight on.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, one clip I've got from that you want to pay attention to. They say Fall River votes Republican for the first time. I think that's in Massachusetts. For the first time in decades as Trump surges in Bristol County. And this lady is warning that the Republicans are getting stronger. But she says something that ties back into what I was saying earlier in the broadcast. That these people, the puppet masters at the top, have been looking at our system of government, our relationship of local government, and how it can affect national government. And they focus on weak spots like prosecutors, okay, as most all of us are aware now by watching what happened to Trump and other conservatives, how prosecutors can be made to go after people. Pay attention to what she says.
Come on, Massachusetts, let's hear from you. But you know what? Everyone thinks we're a blue state. Fall River, first time in 100 years, voted for Donald Trump. And what I want to share with you is we treasurers, we manage over $1 trillion in union money, in state worker money, firefighters, police officers, and guess what? Those Republicans are after us because they have figured out that when you can sneak in under the treasurer's office, you can make it to Congress, to the Senate, you can make it to Attorney General and the governor's office, and they've done it again and again and again.
You all figured out that if you can get into the treasurer's office with your Marxist ideology, that you can manage trillions of dollars. Firefighters, you say? Kind of like LA? and other dead weight all around the country that is strengthening itself, financing its operatives with taxpayer money, and how a treasurer can treat people differently and break their backs if they want to. Commissars is what I called them. And I talked about local treasurers in the past. And I said, check and see what your treasurer's philosophies are and what party they belong to, because so few people vote in local elections and don't even know who their county or parish treasurers are. Did I not say? A lot of you have been with me for a long time. No, I've been bringing that up. And I said specifically treasurers. They act like commissars in the old Soviet Union, and they knew it was a weak spot. And after treasurers, they went to planning commission members. Planning commission members, land use planning commission. And the treasurers go with tax rates, penalties, and interests that are not incidental taxes anymore. They're confiscatory taxes. Confiscatory planning rules and regulations, just like they're going to do in LA. They're going to attempt to confiscate the properties of people who were burned out because of malfeasance. Not eminent domain by code enforcement. So it's all coming together. And I've said, hi, Darla, how are you doing? They're like worms in a clump of dirt. I've said that. They're all tangled together. Hi, Larry. Who is that guy? That's what I say. Who is that guy? So anyway, let's listen to another pretty girl with no nose rings, no tattoos, no boogers and tears and screaming. Just say, I like that material in her top. I like to get a coat with that kind of lining on the inside of it. But anyway, let me let her talk. Listen to somebody nice for once.
There's a man on here that has an account, and he calls himself the Doge Update Guy. The Department of Government Efficiency, a lot of their programs are being cut. And I'm going to name you 5 of them. But if you go follow his account, he talks about 30 plus, maybe even more. And when I read you these, I want you to know this is not a skit. These are real programs that our federal government is putting money towards. You ready? Okay, number 1. The government is spending $1.4 million annually on a national bubble wrap relief study. They're trying to study if popping bubble wrap relieves stress. Yes, okay, let's move on. Number 2, the federal government is spending $2.3 million to teach clowns how to fold balloons into animals. Number 3, the government is spending $1.8 million yearly to fund a program, I don't even think I'm gonna be able to say this without laughing, to guide you. It's called a sock pairing guide program. It's guidance so you can pair your socks correctly. Let's continue. The government is spending $10 billion annually to furnish vacant buildings around the country. Yes, you heard me correctly. $10 billion. And last but certainly not least, because there's plenty more where this came from, we are spending $1.7 million annually to create a stapler that will not jam. And I am not even effing joking you. That's right here. It says that. It's real. I want to know whose job it was to think of those programs, because we all know they're not real programs. They're lining the pockets of the people who work for the government. But if you want to laugh or hear any more, go over and watch the Doge Guy update. And just so you know, President Trump did put a halt on these programs because he wants to know where every single dollar is being spent, as he should.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing universal reparations, not just for select groups. And it's going to help unify this country, because if it wasn't for us voting Trump in, that money would be gone with the wind. Remember that? Remember that? I wonder what we saw Jen Psaki during that goofball Democrat National Commission. Let's see what she's got to say here. Trump purge. Damn right.
As I noted right before the break, on another piece of breaking news tonight here in the nation's capital, where the Trump administration has conducted an unprecedented purge at the top levels of the FBI. Unprecedented. Administration officials have forced out all 6 of the FBI's most senior executives and multiple heads of various FBI field offices across the country, according to current and former FBI officials who spoke with NBC News. This is hostile takeover of federal law enforcement. There's no other way to call it. Included the high-profile leader of the Washington, D.C. field office, which was involved in the prosecutions of President Donald Trump. The Department of Justice also fired multiple federal prosecutors who conducted the criminal investigation of January 6 rioters, according to sources. Now, just to take a moment, a step back, and I know there's a lot of news you are consuming right now, but these are officials, these are not political officials. These are career law enforcement officials. Most of whom, all of whom, have worked under multiple Democratic and Republican administrations. They are not political appointees. Many do not even work in the FBI's Washington headquarters. Like Spencer Evans, who's a special agent in charge of the Bureau's Las Vegas field office. In a note obtained by NBC News, Evans writes, "I was informed by FBI headquarters today that the executive leadership at the Department of Justice plans to dismiss me from the roles of the FBI, along with several other FBI executives, as soon as Monday morning. I was given no rationale for this decision, which, as you might imagine, has come as a shock." These firings are potentially devastating to the nation's ability to fight terrorism and corruption, investigate crime across the country. That's what the FBI does. But they are also not just about law enforcement officials in Washington. They're no doubt going to have an impact on the local communities they serve as well. We're going to be learning more about that, I'm certain, in the days ahead. And it's leaving a lot of these local FBI field offices across the country in a huge lurch. Now, at the same time that Trump is purging the Bureau's ranks, multiple sources tell NBC News that the Office of the Acting Deputy Attorney General, former Trump defense attorney Emil Bovee, has asked the FBI for a list of employees involved in January 6th cases. Now, that could include case managers, technical workers, intelligence analysts, workers in almost basically every single field office the FBI has. As one former Bureau official told NBC News, this is a really, really big list.
Yeah, well, they're going to frame it as negatively as they can. We're seeing a push now of misinformation that is going to be, on the one hand, ridiculous to those in the know. And even like that Democratic National Commission joke we just watched, the average person will smell a rat. It's going to be so ridiculous. Here's a video thumbnail I pulled among. I could have gone to Midas Trash Network, Dummy David Pakman, and gotten a bunch of dopey headlines that are exaggerated, outright false. But here's one. China hits back. 1.4 million views in 23 hours by a channel I've never heard of. U.S. hit with 75% tariffs from China, a major economic blow. Some mystery channel. You don't see that coming out of CNN or all these other channels. You know who they are, because they can get sued. They will get blown out of the water so quick. But you've got these creepy channels that come out of nowhere with a blatant bag of crap and you get millions watching it. And, oh, see, we told you Trump was going to screw everything up. We told you. And it's not true. It's not true. But what do you do with these stray goofball YouTube channels? I'm looking for some other, speaking of stray goofball YouTube channels, but I'll put them up as I come along, as I go through them. But here's another example. How desperate is the left? And you see somebody getting arrested by ICE, and it says Latinos for Trump. Here's a good example. Original unaltered picture was made during the arrest in 2018. Be aware of liberal lies. You see what they're doing? All funded by this Sorosio bunch and this USAID. They had 15,000 doctors sign some kind of document being against RFK, and all of them are tied to groups that are funded by the likes of Bill Gates. There's major trust issues with bedrock institutions in our country. Doctors, lawyers are being disingenuous, not acting in our best interests. They don't have our good in mind. And that's where you have people getting suspicious and nervous. I mean, if you have to deal with a doctor who has a social media that does what? Maybe makes fun of Trump when they try to off him. What do you think he's going to do to you if he thinks you're MAGA? Here's this goofy broad, Claudia Sheinbaum, or however you pronounce her name. I don't know. It's Mexican. I can't pronounce it. She orders retaliatory tariffs on U.S. Good luck with that. Clandestine again. Breaking news. Memo from May 17, 2024 reveals the U.S. Department of Defense Inspector General is already investigating Hunter Biden's metabiota for weapons development and connection with the origin of SARS-CoV-2 exclamation point. Holy SH, and that's it. You can read about it in the Substack. Kanye West, what's he coming out for out of the blue? But at least it's funny. I risked my life to wear a red hat, and then he turned it black. The Democrats made me the loser, post down. No, I'm kidding. Don't control black people no more. Trump for life. That goes back to what I was saying about Lyndon Baines Johnson with his disgusting recording that was made years ago. Devin Nunes. Keep an eye on Devin Nunes. Something's going to happen with Devin Nunes. It could be that he's a major witness against Adam Schiff at a tribunal or something. But anyway, he was on Maria Bartiromo, and I didn't get the whole 14 minutes of this investigating the origins of the Russian probe. The more things change, the more they remain the same. He put this up early today or late last night for a reason. So keep an eye on him. Here's Trump. We pay hundreds of billions of dollars to subsidize Canada. Why? There's no reason. We don't need anything they have. We have unlimited energy. Should make our own cars and have more lumber than we can ever use. Without this massive subsidy, Canada ceases to exist as a viable country. Harsh but true. Therefore, Canada should become our cherished 51st state. Much lower taxes and far better military protection for the people of Canada, and no tariffs. Sounds like a good deal to me. Citizen Free Press, what about this? It goes without saying that Democrats are rooting for Mexico and Canada in any trade war with the United States. The people that identify as Democrats by the day, it's going to sound like a toilet flushing, as many people are going to leave the Democrat Party. Because the bottom line is, you don't root against your own country. And so somebody comes in and has a different point of view, says they're Democrat, I want to ask them. Ask them exactly what Citizens Free Press is saying here. Who are you for? Mexico and Canada or us? This is a big thing going around now. Trump map. I think C. Bannon is selling copies of this if you want to get one and frame it. The big, beautiful border wall, Gulf of America, Mount McKinley, Gitmo. Anyway, let's see what this is. Jack Posobiec. Did you know that in 1494, Christopher Columbus sailed into a large bay in southern Cuba? He named it Puerto Grande, the Grand Port, and he noted its strategic location for military and strategic purposes. This area is now known as Guantanamo Bay. Yeah. Diamond and silk. What'd they come up with? Very scary. Okay, passengers evacuated after United Airlines plane catches fire. Did you all hear about that? So here we have the chopper crash. We have the medevac that crashed, and we had this plane catch on fire. So, of course, going along with what I was saying about doctors and lawyers, now we have this innate fear about travel. Here's the two pilots that were on that medical plane that crashed. And I showed that video that I said there was a something laying in the parking lot that got thrown a far distance from the plane. I said it was a different color than the plane itself. This is the plane. And what we saw laying on the ground, that a young man was taking a picture of the inside, was blue. And it turns out, and I almost said it the other night, but I didn't want to get morose. I said it looked to me like a medical capsule. It looked like something you would put someone in if they needed to be sterilized in a sterile environment and needed help with breathing or anything like that. That may have been what the young lady was in. So it turns out it probably was. Because here's the inside seating. You could see a room for a stretcher and or a capsule to keep your body free from contaminants and in a sterile high oxygen-rich environment. But I want to say something about this. Hi, Holofix, how you doing? Nice to see you. I want to say something. I saw one pilot give his ideas on what had happened. He said he thought it was a stall. I I don't think he's right about that, because we saw a flame out. We saw an engine on fire or something on fire, and we heard the engine screaming. That doesn't happen during a stall. It could have been oxygen exploding. It's very volatile. And you have something like that, it becomes a projectile, and it could pierce the gas tank and cause a engine failure, flame out, or whatever. Here is the luckiest guy that I've seen. Let me play this video. This is right when the plane crashes and there's no sound, no screaming, thank God. But anyway, look at the velocity with which debris flew through a window, apparently, into a restaurant a good ways away from the wreck. You see the guy in the background at the start of the video get his hat knocked off, and then they put a close-up. Whoops, where'd it go? Then they put a close-up of, let me play it again. You see, he's lucky he didn't get his brains knocked out of his head, really. So if it was an oxygen tank, that could have pierced the gas tank. But I'll tell you a story that I heard about. I didn't have nothing to do with it, allegedly. I remember a guy flying in a plane and looking out the window and saying, man, it looks like mist. Looks like steam or something coming off that wing. And the people landed. I swear I saw steam or something coming off that wing. That's why I poked my head around to look at your wing to see if you had the same thing happening. Well, let's take a look. On this particular plane, you remember gas doors in the cars back in the day? You'd push on the back of the door and the door would open and you could take your gas cap off. Well, this is what that plane was like, but the door was in the wing where the fuel tanks were, in the wing on each side. Push the door open, there's no gas cap. When they took off and the plane was at a nose up attitude, gas was pouring off the wing and atomizing and looked like mist or steam. Lost about 10 or 15 gallons of gas. And I'll just, I guess I'll say from memory how it was told to me. What the hell did you do with your gas cap? Well, it must have fell off. Fell off? What did it do? Open the door, jump off the plane, and then close the door on its own? I mean, there are nitwits out there. I mean, you don't got to be a brain surgeon to get a pilot's license. Forgot to put his gas cap on. Dropped it, or who knows, or left it on the wing and you took off, it blew off the wing. But the engine on this plane was in the nose. It was a prop-driven Wisconsin engine, gas engine, and the gas was just flying off behind the plane. But what if that happened in this case? Where do you see the engines? behind the wing. I'm not saying that happened, but stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. A gas leak going into the engine, or more than likely something catastrophic inside, like a fuel tank explosion. The oxygen tanks, if they blow, they turn into a missile. They will rip right through a plane hull, no problem. And I believe it's something like that happened. Anyway, that aside, speaking of planes, this is a little report. I think Dan Scavino put this up about what Trump did with the ISIS in Somalia. Remember that video where Ilhan Omar was talking about her affinity? It was either for ISIS or ISIL. And she was clutching her chest and closing her eyes with a little smile on her face. Oh, every time I hear the name ISIS, I think, oh gosh, what a good thing. You haven't heard nothing out of her. You haven't heard nothing out of Rashida Tlaib. I believe they're going to be deported. I believe they're going to get arrested for some of their past actions. I mean, Chuck Schumer getting investigated is a big deal, but it's if there's verifiable actions they've taken that are illegal, he's not going to fool around with them. He's not going to fool around. Now, here's a video I know Trump put up because I got it off his page. He put it unclassified after he told about what he did with ISIS in Somalia. Let me go. I don't know how. I think it's only a couple of, not very long. So anyway, Trump made a post about that where he told them they had enough warnings. They fooled around with them enough. And they used bunker busters and they're out of here. How about this, folks? Donald Trump posted that not too long before I went live. Governor Mike Dunleavy, we've got somebody in the chat that knows what's going on here. President Trump's executive orders impacting Alaska. This is unbelievably good news for the people of Alaska that believe in opportunity. President Trump delivered this or his first day in office. This is why elections matter. What do they mean? It means Alaska is back in business. To the people of King Cove, it means they finally get the ability to get a road. For the state of Alaska, it means ANWR and NPRA are back in business. It means the timber industry in the Tongass National Forest can once again take place. It means Alaska can begin the process of finally getting its remaining acreage of land from the federal government. It could mean thousands and thousands of jobs, an additional opportunity for the state of Alaska, the great state of Alaska. On behalf of the great state of Alaska, thank you, President Trump. He posted another letter. Let me see. Is this from Lindsey Graham? Remember, he's there when you need him. That's what Trump said about Lindsey Graham when people were booing him. There has to be accountability for those who engage in a political weaponization of the law. Firing them is a good place to start. I completely support the dismissal of DOJ officials who were involved in the prosecution of President Donald Trump. These prosecutions were incredibly politically motivated and the definition of a two-tiered justice system. Why is it that a Republican was treated as a career criminal, but the mismanagement of classified information by a Democrat was treated only as a mistake? The weaponization of the Justice Department during the Biden years left a deep sense of mistrust among millions of Americans. This was the right move by President Trump. And they put on their tweet, Justice Department fires more than a dozen key officials on former Jack Smith's team. Yeah, get the hell out of here, you creeps. And what else did Lindsey Graham have to say about his nominees, President Trump's nominees? Let's see what he has to say.
Assuming you're yes on RFK Jr., assuming you're a yes on Kash Patel, what about Tulsi Gabbard?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be yes on her. I was waiting to see what she said about 702. That's the ability to track foreigners overseas who may be involved in plots against the country. I actually served in a reserve unit with Tulsi. I've always liked her. I think a lot of her criticism against her has been really mean and off base, but I'll be a yes now. She's shown her understanding of how vital 702 is. So I'll be a yes on RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel knocked it out of the park. He's the antidote to Crossfire Hurricane. He's going to go in and clean the FBI out to make sure it's never abused like it was in the past. And Crossfire Hurricane was one of the saddest, most dangerous chapters in FBI history. He's the guy that helped expose it, and he'll be the solution, not the problem, when it comes to the FBI.
Yeah, he's going to support all three of them. All three of them. So he's there when you need him. Brown noser, well, as long as he does what he's supposed to say. Gary, coming live from Alaska. Yukon Territory gold. That's what Theodosia says. Oh, oil and gas industry. Oh, man, that's going to be taken off. That's going to be taken off because they want to play that tariff game. It's just going to encourage us to do more of our own production. More of our own production. Here, I want to play this one. I think this is about the border ICE officers facing escalating threats. We've got these protests sprinkled all around the country. We've got highways being shut down by protesters. Now this.
We also just got our hands on a memo out of the Rio Grande Valley sector that actually says that
This is kind of crazy here, that the cartels authorize the use of weaponized drones, explosives against CBP personnel and U.S. law enforcement down there at the southern border. Now, they're actually being encouraged, of course, to remain cognizant and vigilant, but they're also being encouraged to use their long arms, Blake. I have never seen this in a CBP memo before. They say, wear your ballistic gear, yes, but they're telling them, hey, have your long arms. Yes, they are saying, watch out for these weaponized drones. We've seen a lot of infighting with two different factions of the cartel down in Tamaulipas, that is on the south side of the border in the Rio Grande Valley, and they have like an all-out war happening between these cartel factions. So they are warning now that they might be using these weaponized drones against U.S. personnel on this side. So definitely cause for concern there.
Yeah, they're gonna FAFO. Let me tell you that, and that's another thing that we should be looking at. Those cartels have billions of dollars, and they can't keep that kind of money underneath a rock. Okay, watch Trump confiscate cartel money, businesses linked to cartels. Watch for politicians. Look at Arizona with the phony deeds and deeds of trust we talked about 6 months ago that got hushed up. I'm telling you, this stuff is going to add up. We're going to have universal reparations as a start. It's either going to be called rebates, reparations, I don't know, relief, something like that. And then the average American will see what Trump is doing. And you want to talk about approval ratings going up, shooting up. Look at this. Look at the kind of garbage CNN's putting out. They don't even realize this is CNN on Twitter. See? CNN follow. Sometimes we eat. Sometimes we don't. Some families are struggling. Look, that's their picture. Do they realize how idiotic they look? I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just pointing out. You're not going to tell me this woman, sometimes she don't eat. That's round the clock, baby. Ridiculous. What's this? Oh. Look at what came up on my Quora Digest. Who is Barron Trump's father? Nobody will ever know the answer. Melania and even Barron are certainly not going to ever speak out on that issue. What the hell is this all about? Just out of the blue, putting out there that Trump, Barron, if you can't see Trump's younger face in Barron, you're blind. They're throwing every bit of garbage they can out to discredit Trump and the family. And I hope they stick their head out too far and get sued, people that are doing this stuff. Diamond Silk says, what do you think they'll find? New, Trump's FCC opens investigation into PBS and NPR. Federal Communications Commission launched an investigation into media outlets, PBS and National Public Radio, concerns that member stations could be airing prohibited commercial advertisements. What's that all about? They're not launching these just for poops and giggles, okay? We're going to be finding out a lot. Maybe we'll get a NPR, National Public Radio, and all. We'll get a reimbursement check for that too. Laura Loomer says, I don't have a problem with gay people serving in positions in government, but the Biden administration's push for DEI hires at top ranks of our military raises a question. If Rebecca Lobach was allegedly a lesbian, as this post from her family seems to suggest in the way it calls her a, quote, partner, was she qualified in her position, or was she placed in her role to fulfill a diversity quota? Now, I believe she's referring to this person here. New York air disaster. There we go. New York air disaster. Female soldier inside doomed Black Hawk during DC crash identified. The U.S. Army has identified the female soldier in the downed Black Hawk helicopter, killing more than 60 people. And it says, well, let me see, where does it go? That she was a Democrat staffer. Where did I see that? Here we go. There she is at the podium, White House. Why was a member of for the Biden administration flying a Black Hawk helicopter through a busy air traffic lane? Let me see. I had an article on that, but Anyway, the situation with this, now, you had another person who was accused of being the pilot and wasn't. And this happened to be a man who turned into a woman. That, that I don't even want to put that person's face or name up, because they started this crap going around and going on podcasts, this guy or gal or whatever, saying my life has been ruined and irreversibly altered by people who said I was piloting the chopper. How the hell did that happen? If you're alive and you say it wasn't me, it's over. Who started the rumor? Is it because you knew you were going to get thrown out of the Air Force? Because you're psychologically unfit? And even if you were wrongly put out there by some goon on the internet, it's easily discredited. You get on with your life. If you're that psychologically frail, you can't fight a war. So if they keep making a stink out of it, what are they going to go for? Some kind of post-traumatic stress because they were wrongly mentioned? But this person who was actually the pilot, was she actually in charge? Did she actually have the yoke? Was she the one that was piloting the plane? It was unquestionably higher than the maximum. They were meandering in and out of their approved path, off by half a mile. They were at least 100 feet higher than the maximum. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was arrogance. I think it was they were being lackadaisical. And the flight controller, I said, if we had higher quality flight control and higher quality pilots, this would have never, in the military, this would have never happened. The passenger plane, the pilots there are totally exonerated, in no way at fault. It falls to air traffic control and those pilots in the chopper. And the air traffic controller, I said if we had higher quality air traffic control, by that I mean the team. I don't mean the one individual. I've used the example of plates spinning on a stick, where you have these programs from years ago on Ed Sullivan show or whatever, where these guys would spin plates on sticks and keep putting up more and more and try to keep all the plates spinning. And the team wasn't there. There was one person who couldn't handle what was going on. They were short-staffed, and that's all thank you to Biden policies, Biden administration policies. Now, the air traffic controller as an individual, their communications with the chopper were vague. He missed the straying from the flight path. He missed the fact that they were over 100 feet higher than they should have been, and he didn't call it out. Now, whether his excuse can be that he was overwhelmed when he shouldn't have been, I don't know. He'll have to take that up with the higher-ups. But that's my take on that. I don't think it was intentional. I think, listen, it can be with females, males. There is a attitude that some people have, kind of like this. When you try to tell them what to do or admonish them or give them guidance, they say, don't you know that I am the man who met Andy Griffith? Don't you know who you're talking to? People get big opinions of themselves over the dopiest reasons, and they don't think the rules apply to them. I'm the man who met the man that met Andy Griffith, damn it. And that could have played a role. You know, I strongly feel that it did. Here you can, this is another thing that's got everybody got their eyeballs popping open. 100 billion missing from Ukraine. Zelensky is getting nervous. He's running out of wiggle room, and he's starting to, what's his purpose? He's trying to play it down by saying, well, you know, a lot of it was not cash. It was training. It was this and that. But he's basically saying there's a lot of money unaccounted for. What's his purpose coming out now with it?
Дивіться, я коли чую, і раніше чув, і сьогодні ми чуємо від Сполучених Штатів Америки, що Америка дала Україні сотні мільярдів, 177, якщо сказати більш точно. Така звучала точна цифра, яку підтримували або голосував Конгрес, тощо різні організації. Дивіться, я як президент воюючої країни вам говорю, ми отримали більше 75. Тобто 100 мільярдів з цих 177, або 200, говорять навіть деякі люди, ми ніколи не отримували. І це важливо. Бо ми говоримо про конкретні речі, бо ми отримали це не грошима, а зброєю. Ми зброю отримали на 70 з чимось мільярдів. Є навчання, тренування, є додатковий транспорт, є не тільки ціну на зброю, були гуманітарні програми, соціальні тощо. Але коли говорять, що Україна під час війни отримала 200 мільярдів на підтримку армії тощо, це неправда. Я не знаю, де всі ці гроші.
Yeah, he doesn't know where the money is. Putin came out with a statement, or the Russian Federation came out with a statement that Zelensky's illegitimate and they don't see any purpose in having him in any peace talks because he is a usurper. I mean, he has no standing because he called off the elections. But anyway, here's the Russian. Zelensky says excluding Ukraine from U.S.-Russia talks about war is very dangerous. Zelensky called the U.S.-Russia negotiations on Ukraine without Kiev's participation very dangerous. This is how he commented on Trump's statements that American and Russian officials are already talking about ending the war. Well, that was after the Russian Federation said, we don't recognize his government. We don't want him in the negotiations. He has no standing. And then another thing that's famously going around is this interview. It's all, the captions are in Russian and his speech is in Russian. So it just says that Trump, he said, Putin is talking, says Trump will bring order and soon they will stand at the feet of the master and gently wag their tails. Putin talking about the U.S. president's relation with European politicians. In other words, Trump's the big dog, and they're going to fall in line. And he's right. He's right. What's this? About there was a cluster bomb attack in a civilian area. I got a video of it, but I cannot play it. And these things sprinkle down on, there are three women, looks like they're returning from shopping, walking on a sidewalk. And these things sprinkle down, and they're about 5 times the size of a M80. You know, you used to be able to buy those fireworks, and M80s they put out a big bang. And if you're holding into your hand, you're going to be missing some fingers. So these things came down, bam, 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 around these ladies. And, they fell down and got up screaming. One of them sat up and couldn't stand up. It was awful. But they say about the missile strike in Sudza from the Russian Defense Ministry, that this is the Ukrainians did it. This is a statement from Russia. On February 1st, Ukrainian armed forces committed another war crime by launching a targeted missile strike on a boarding school in the city of Sudza. This is after that little cluster bomb attack. The launch of enemy missiles from the Sumy region was recorded by Russian air defense systems. This provocation is aimed at distracting world public opinion from the atrocities of the Kiev regime, which were committed in the village of Rusk, I can't pronounce it, in the Kursk region. The strike by the Ukrainian armed forces on a civilian facility once again demonstrated the terrorist, inhumane nature of those who are in power in Kiev. They're saying he might be in power, but that doesn't mean he's legitimate. And here again, this is a different tunnel network. Okay, see the picture there? I'll play a video of it in a minute, but and I'll probably get a copyright on the music. But it says Iranian Republican Guard unveils new underground missile city in southern Iran. The facility is reported to house hundreds of cruise missiles with ranges from 100 kilometers to over 1,000 kilometers. Let me see about that video I have. Let me see. Here it is. Just shows you the extent of these underground bunkers. Because don't forget, China's building that huge 47 kilometer square mini city for their elites. Anyway, let me play this.
تیرهای غیب الهی حالا با بردهایی بیش از 1000 کیلومتر برای همین ده‌ها پایگاه در سراسر ایران هر کجایی که میتواند باشد مثل این شکل گرفته. کیلومترها تونل در دل زمین، بسیار بزرگتر از آن که بشود در قاب دوربین به تصویرش کشید. فقط این پایگاه محل نگهداری صدها تیر موشک کروز دریایی از بردهای 100 تا بیش از 1000 کیلومتر است. صدها تیر غیب الهی در اعماق زمین آماده شلیک از دهلیزهای داخل همین پایگاه بدون نیاز به خروج از زیر زمین، غیب از چشم ماهواره‌های جاسوسی و رادارهای دشمن. اینها به جز قدرت هزاران موشک کروز دریایی ایران مستقر در روی زمین برای حمله همزمان به اهداف است.
این موشک قدر 380 تایپ ال هست.
یکی از این موشک ها حالا رونمایی می شود.
ساخت نیروی دریایی سپاس بالای 1000 کیلومتر برد داره، یه قابلیت های ضد جمینگ داره.
یعنی با جمینگ نمیتونن منحرفش کنن؟
نمیشه این کار کرد.
از طرفی قدر 380 توانایی هدایت هوشمند تا لحظه اصابت به هدف را دارد. یعنی خود موشک تصمیم میگیرد از چه مسیری و با چه ارتفاعی و از چه سمتی به هدف حمله کند. این لحظه شلیک موشک و آزمایش هدفگیری آن از مرکز ایران به سمت هدفی در دریای عمان.
فرمانده نیروی دریایی سپاه میگوید اگر تهدیدی علیه ایران شکل بگیرد، این نیرو قادر است آنها را در دریای عمان و حتی میانه اقیانوس هند با اتکا به نیروی انسانی متخصص و موشک‌های کروز دریایی جدید خود از ده‌ها پایگاه زیرزمینی موشکی نابود کند. یونس شادلو، خبرنگار اعزامی خبرگزاری صدا.
Whatever he said, but keep in mind, Iran was broke. Iran was broke. Who sent him all that money? Gold in planes, cash in planes, didn't even tell Congress about it. Right? Hi, Karen. Who did that? Barack Hussein Obama, all right? Whose money did he use? Our damn money. Hi, Yen Nurs, Croc of Shait. Okay. He used our money. And don't forget about John Kerry being filmed. The one person he was talking to over in Iran, this is when he was no longer Secretary of State. He was having clandestine meetings with the Iranians. And remember, his family is married into, very heavily, into members of the Muslim Brotherhood. And John Brennan, whose picture I had at the beginning of this live stream, is also a Muslim. And you're not allowed to have meetings like that. Look for John Kerry to be on the list of people who are going to be detained and facing trial. Now, here is the facility in China, a time-lapse video of the construction of this massive city-like underground structure for government elites in the case of a nuclear war. Busy little bees. And if something happens to the general population, they could give a damn. They'll have a safe place to be and less mouths to feed. Anyway, here's a standoff in Los Angeles. Okay? Los Angeles between Hey, I say arrest them for obstructing traffic, if nothing else. And there you got the keys to get their identification. They have to identify themselves. and have ICE come in and take care of business. So everybody's got to sit around in traffic right at rush hour for this crap. I guess they do. I got a bunch of posts from Mr. T, people who are backing him up. Hi, B Charming, how you doing? Yeah, I think they ought to name it Operation Rawhide. Rawhide. Head them up, move them out. Rawhide. Remember that song, folks, from back in the day? Yeah, okay. Just looking through. See if I missed anybody. I hope y'all remember to give me a thumbs up. Here's something else to put on Meta. I will never believe Joe Biden got 81 million votes. That's what it all boils down to, right, folks? Elections have consequences. And if you're watching on Rumble, hit the follow button. I would appreciate it. And also the thumbs up. I've got a link for Buy Me a Coffee in the description. I appreciate it. We're starting a new month. We're in February. And I got a funny little picture. I wonder if I put it in. I hope I did. If I didn't, I have to show it to you tomorrow. Oh, my. With the snow and the cold weather. Well, I don't think I put it in. Maybe I did. Let me see. I didn't. Anyway, let me see if I got any other videos. I know. The Bukele in Venezuela. He put up a post that 40% of their population, young men, are being retrained to enter in and live like good civilians. Here's a scene from their cafeteria in the mega prison. We'll see how much of this gets put up with before somebody drops a hammer. before somebody drops a hammer. What's this one? Oh, this is, I might have to take this music out too. But guess who this is in the yellow hoodie? Y'all guess in the chat who this is. It's a big star. I don't know if you'll guess it or not. Anybody guess who it is? See if anybody guesses who it is. Hi, Miss Brenda Sue. How you doing? Yeah, television show's got Justin Bieber. He looks like he's got a bad case of AIDS. My God, he looks rough. But anyway, I'm going to play this on the way out because it pretty much encapsulates how things are going with the nominees. And in this particular instance, it's Kash Patel. So we will see how things go with that. And I will be broadcasting tomorrow. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And again, I appreciate everybody's helped out with Buy Me a Coffee, as this is a viewer-supported channel only. I don't get anything from UTizzle. So, again, thank you for spending your precious time with me. Enjoy this short video, and I think it'll give you a good feeling about what's going to happen with Kash and the other nominees, and then we're going to be taking off like a rocket, folks. So you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Folks on the other side can't actually believe and can't come to grips that they're in this position right now. That they're in the minority and that President Trump is back in office. Because what they did was, after he was out of office, they tried to destroy him. They tried to financially ruin him and his family. They tried to intimidate him. They tried to throw him in jail for the rest of his life. They tried to demonize half the country. Their opening and closing argument for the last 4 years has been that President Trump and Republicans are a threat to democracy. But the American people sat in a jury box and they watched. And they weighed the evidence and they heard all the facts and they rendered their own verdict. And their verdict was for reform. They don't believe that the people who've been doing this in these positions have done a particularly good job before. They think the deck is stacked against them, and they saw how our justice system was turned against political opponents in a Soviet-style justice system, which moniker was, show me the man and I'll show you the crime. And by the way, I don't think they can believe you're sitting where you're sitting at right now. But guess what? You are. And you're going to get confirmed.
That's right.
And you're going to lead this agency back to what it always should have been, which is to protect the American people, to fight crime, to put the bad guys in jail, not to execute a political agenda like some banana republic form of justice, where you point to the person on the other side that you want taken out and you go do that person's bidding. This country was founded on the idea that people could say what they wanted, they could believe what they want, and that the government wouldn't come after them. The government's job is not to tell you what you should think or what you can say or what you can do or what you believe. And this Justice Department under Christopher Wray and under Joe Biden and Merrick Garland has done just that. And that's why the trust has plummeted. So you got a big job. You got a big, big job. But I have all the faith in the world in you that you're going to restore that trust because you believe in the rule of law. You have an incredible personal story. You're going to get confirmed.